So we're out at the bushcraft camp. This will be the first actual live that I have attempted. I went live a little bit earlier today just to send a message on how dry the conditions were, but not really to interact or engage with the community. So I thought that I'd change that tonight. I've watched quite a few live streams from Ariel. I don't know how to link her channel, but I'll do that after this is posted and done. But she really inspired me to go ahead and do this. So I'm out here, I'm at the bushcraft camp. I had full intentions today of coming out and making another actual bushcraft video. That unfortunately didn't happen as I come out, and conditions just were not conducive to do that. It is extremely dry here. So unfortunately, without fire, it takes a while. You know, you can't, it's hard to bushcraft without fire. Um, Particularly when you're doing overnight camps or multi-day camps like I had planned to do for this one. There are things you can do to get around that, but I just, I come out, I couldn't light fires and stuff, so I just decided, the heck with it, I'm going to enjoy my time and I'm going to come out to the woods and just enjoy myself. But since I was here, I decided, hey, how's it going, Richard? This is round two. You are right. Thanks for joining me. I do appreciate that. I encourage you guys to, when you're looking at the comments and stuff, go to each other's page, support each other. Again, I'm doing this on my cell phone out in the middle of the woods, so I will not be doing none of that fancy link share stuff, as I just quite honestly don't know how. But we are out here again. I was trying to do the bushcraft multi-day actual bushcraft camp, but with such dry conditions and stuff, I decided I'll save that for another time when I can be confident in lighting fire and stuff like that. So it is crazy warm here in West Central Alberta. Right now we're experiencing a massive heat wave for this time of year. It was 18 degrees Celsius today. So that is beyond warm. It's beyond seasonably warm for us here. Last year at this time, we still, were under snow. This year, everything is dead and dry and buried and not very friendly to lighting fires. So it is what it is. We all experience this when we go out, and we just got to try to, handle ourselves accordingly and don't make rash decisions just because we want to be out and just because we want to do things that, we want to make sure that we respect the environment and the land that we are in. But I was hoping more to do this live stream with you guys today. I want to just interact with you guys and get your different take on various different things. With the introduction, all the different social medias and stuff, even what we consider bushcraft is, drastically changed throughout the years. And I want to have your take on it. What is bushcraft to you? What do you attribute to people just coming up with creative ideas to get views? And okay, so it's autumn in New Zealand right now. That's awesome. That's good to know. So you are running into a whole different set of circumstances over there. Over here in autumn, that's when we get to have our, our regular hunting seasons and stuff like that. So that is one of my favorite times of year to be out because it's a lot easier to, live off the land. You got a lot of different wild edibles that are coming into the late autumn. So I always liked autumn. That's definitely one of my favorite times to wild camp. My wife and I make it a point every year that we come out and we stay in the bush for a few days here and fill the freezer, so to speak. So that's awesome. I like to hear that stuff. That's great interaction. So I want to ask you guys, what is bushcraft to you? I want to know, what do you think YouTube and Instagram and all the rest of the social medias have done to change the craft? I'm creating a series. The first episode has already aired for it, but the series is called uh, Bushcraft or YouTube BS. Now, that might sound offensive in some ways to different folks, but it is certainly not meant to be. What I mean by that is, as a YouTube creator, there is a lot of things that I have done during my videos that I wouldn't do otherwise. If I wasn't filming for YouTube, I would not bother wasting the time and or energy to complete tasks the way that I do, build the type of shelters that I do, even the different type of pot hanging systems or benches, chairs, tables, elevated fire stands, all these different things that I did basically in the name of YouTube, because you got to get creative and you got to come up with different things. So I want to know what bushcraft is to you. How do you think that the social medias have changed it from what you believe it actually is? One of my favorite ones, which I did the first episode on for the series, you guys have seen that on the channel already if you were able to check that out, is the processing of firewood. That is something that, if I'm going out into the woods on an actual bushcraft camp, 3 out of the 4 seasons, I will never ever process firewood. I will just pick up the sticks off the ground and I will throw them on the fire. Basically, there's no need to, pack long saws and all this extracurricular equipment to throw a couple sticks on the fire, right? The one exception here in west central Alberta, Canada, would be winter. When it's winter and it gets cold and you can have 6 feet of snow, stumbling around to pick up sticks off the ground and throw them on the fire isn't very productive. So I mean, typically then you're going to build a proper fire lay depending on your temperature. My personal favorite would be the Siberian log lay fire, as I find the BTU output of it and the maintenance free burning once it's lit is by far the most beneficial to me for any bushcraft camps that I have ever done. That is definitely the fire lay I go with. Yes, I believe that the channel, or one of the many channels, anyways, that build the bushcraft log cabin self reliance stuff, you're probably or could be speaking of Sean James from My Self Reliance, I believe his channel is called. He's a very popular Canadian YouTuber who has moved towards self reliance, and like, man, that guy's content is amazing. There is absolutely, I I I think you'd be hard pressed trying to find somebody who wouldn't say that that guy's content is amazing. It by all means it is, and that guy has some really creative ideas for sure. Now that I'm sorry guys, I'm trying to read this stuff on my phone and use it for filming. It's not working very well. Yeah, I agree. Like for me, when I bushcraft, it's not pretty. I mean, And it's one of the things I think that come about from YouTube, because it's, appearance a lot of times is everything when you're talking about YouTube. And whether you want to have the argument that it's bushcraft or it's just YouTube BS to get views, some of these guys do absolutely fantastic work. It's very creative. Everything they do is just perfect. The logs are all perfectly symmetrical and stacked perfectly straight, and they do a great job. I'm not going to deny that. Uh, to me, though, a lot of the stuff that we see on YouTube isn't actual bushcraft. But that's my personal opinion, and I'm not saying anybody's opinion is wrong. I like to, when I go out for a bushcraft camp, there's a few things that I think about. One is how hard is it to construct? Generally, when I go out, there are a lot of things I have to have done in one day, and it's the things that these people are building don't take a they're not built in a day. They're built over, a weekend, or some of them even a couple weeks. Yeah, exactly. So for that overnight video, from experience and actually bushcrafting, I agree 100% that it is BS. There is no way that them folks went out there, built that elaborate shelter and the proper fire lay to keep warm if they are in fact staying out there at night. Again, this could vary depending on your geographical location. I don't want to say anybody's a liar or whatever. I know that different temperatures, different places you live, winter here is a lot different than winter could be in other places. Here, it's not a joke. You don't piss around in the winter. Your fire lay is even more important than your shelter, uh, unless you're, in heavy winds or something like that. But where I am down deep in the boreal, my fire lay is the biggest thing that I worry about. If I have to crawl underneath a tree or just build a snow wall to block the wind or something, it's that fire that's going to keep me alive. And I firmly will spend my time on that when I go out for an actual bushcraft camp to make a shelter and to make the fire lay. Oh, and I'm talking simple here. I've got a video up, uh, actual bushcraft in the cold Canadian wilderness, something like that. I'm not sure what it's called. I'm sure you guys have seen it. It is by far our most viewed video on this channel. Thanks a lot for joining us, Richard. I'm happy that you were able to come over and stop by. I do appreciate that. Have fun with your guests. When I go out and I do these things, I make a very simple shelter that is very functional. So basically, functional to me is, am I going to be able to get a few hours of sleep in this sucker? It's got to be comfortable enough that I can get some sleep, because there's too much I'm going to have to do the next day to carry on, that I have to try to sleep somewhat. You know what I mean? I'm not expecting to get a full night perfect rest. So, I mean, things I look at are distance from the ground. I want to make a decent bed, stop that ground from sucking the heat out of me and into the ground. That is probably made a mini kennel, live a little bigger cabin. Used a sawmill to do sections. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of very creative things that we can do, and if we bring saws and stuff into it, that definitely, that'll increase what you can do when you're out in the wilderness. But when you're talking self reliance and stuff like James does there, that is quite a bit different. That's almost blending. It's a lifestyle, right? You're taking the best of all worlds. You're using some technology to better yourself, and you're still using a lot of the craft in the process, which is why I have a lot of respect for him. He's he's doing it. Like, I mean, he's living it and he's very creative. But when you're out on these camps, an actual bushcraft overnighter, I'm sorry I'm jumping around here, guys. I'm trying to answer and respond to your comments on top of what I'm saying. This is the first time I've done this, so I'm not very good at it. I apologize. When I go out for the actual camp, I want to make sure that I've got distance from the ground. That is very important for me when I talk about shelter building. The bed to me is a very big part of the shelter, and I want that sucker to be 10, 12 inches thick. So after I lay on it for 6 or 8 hours, it is still at minimum 6 inches thick. So then I'm not losing all my heat to the. I'm going to make a small shelter because I don't want to have to heat something large. The only time I would ever make a large shelter in something bushcraft related is if I don't even know when I would do it. If I was lost or something, I was already out there for a week and it wasn't looking like there was any hope I was ever going to be found, then maybe I would think of something a little bit more prolonged. But typically, a lot of the cases for bushcraft and stuff like that are situations when you are out hunting or hiking or some outdoor activity that ends up taking you longer than you expected, so you have to set yourself up a shelter and a fire lay. Right now, the temperature here in Canada is extremely unseasonably warm. We are in April and this is ridiculous. It is 18 degrees Celsius right now. And the temperatures are supposed to plummet, and I'm expecting to have snow tomorrow night. The way the temperatures feel right now, I don't feel that that's even remotely possible because it is ridiculously warm. I can't even remember the last time it was this warm in April. At this time last year, we still had a few feet of snow on the ground. So I mean, this is unseasonably warm, and it is very warm in Canada right now. But yeah, getting back to the bushcraft and the shelters, I would construct something small, like a lean-to, but I'd only have it suspended on one end down at a triangle, just like I used my video. Everything that I do when it comes to actual bushcraft is very simple. The shelter is very simple. The bed is very simple. I will just use boughs and I'll pile them on there thick. I will make a small little shelter like that can catch the heat from the fire lay and kind of circulate it behind me. Anybody who has ever spent any time in the wilderness is you've got to you spend all night rolling over because your side opposite the fire is always a drastic difference in temperature from your side facing the fire. So you spend all night rolling over trying to keep that opposing side warm. If you build a smaller shelter and the proper fire lay, and again, the fire lay I like to use is a Siberian log lay fire, it'll allow that heat to roll behind you better. So you're rolling over less frequently. If you are going a little bit less bushcraft or are a little bit more prepared, something like a cellophane blanket or a space blanket, some people call them, are an excellent addition. And that'll greatly help roll that heat around behind you, and that's just fantastic. Tripods, stuff like that to cook your meals. This to me again is something that YouTube in particular, Instagram too. Yep, keeping the roof low for sure. I agree. That's why I make that small little slope shelter, and it's like half a lean-to. I'm not even sure what the technical name for it is, but I'll just take a Y stick and I would put my ridge pole right down to the ground, use the one stick, lean it against a tree to help support it, and that's it. Slant it down towards my feet, and even at the head end is at most only 4 feet or so high, and it just helps roll that heat behind. And with the Siberian log lay fire, it really works really well. For the tripods and stuff for cooking, this is something I think Instagram and YouTube in particular have absolutely put unrealistic ideas into people's heads for this stuff. Like, I mean, a lot of guys, they head out to the woods and they're taking, you know, saws and axes and knives and Scotch eyed augers and all this stuff. When, like, honestly, if I head out to for an actual bushcraft camp, I will go and I will gather long enough sticks, usually the tops of fallen trees. I leave the branches and everything on them, and I just shove them together at the top, and all the branches and the Ys all hooked together. And that's it. I will leave the additional branches come off of it unless I fear they're too low that they'd catch in the fire. Then I'll remove them ones. The rest of them I leave on there, and that's where I will hook my pots or hook my meat onto there, and that's it. That's all you have to do. You don't need to craft something that will take you, let's say anywhere between 10 minutes for a simple tripod to 45 minutes for a lot of these more elaborate hanging pot systems that people use, like the adjustable one, where you drill it out, you put dowels in and stuff so you can keep lowering it down. I have one at this camp. I'm looking at it right now. Again, I built that one for YouTube, not an actual bushcraft camp, but if you just put all your sticks together like that, you are literally done it in 3 to 5 minutes, depending how abundant resources are where you happen to be setting up your camp. Cooking in general, I think, has become quite a thing when you talk about different bushcraft videos on YouTube. A lot of it is very cooking related. That I've got some comments in the past on my channel, as well as people just generally stating that too much time is spent cooking and watching the guy eat. Let me know what you guys think. Is there too much time spent watching people eat and cooking their meal? Any feedback we get and we share and it all helps shape the community, right? And maybe we end up with better content from it. I'm going to wrap this up here, guys, in probably 5 minutes or so. I don't want to run this live much longer than half an hour. I'll watch bacon being cooked for hours. I'll eat bacon for hours. So we're kind of the same, only a little bit different, because there's few foods that belong in the woods like bacon. Bacon is definitely one of those things that a guy, I don't know if he does much anymore, but for a while there used to have bacon in every single one of his episodes, was Sean Kelly over there at Corporal's Corner. A lot of you guys might know his channel. He used to do a lot of very educational content, a lot of how-tos, a lot of stuff like that. Yeah, yeah. No, I hear you. He used to do a lot of the educational content, but his channel could only grow to a certain point. So inevitably, he made this shift where he just fits more the same prerogative as the rest of the YouTube community, where he's spending his time making overnight videos and building different outlandish bushcraft camps. We've all done it. Like, I mean, I've built my fair share of outlandish bushcraft camps and shelters in general. But so I'm not knocking anybody when I say that. I'm just saying that there's a big difference between YouTube and the way it portrays bushcraft compared to actual bushcraft. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, every one of his videos, when he started doing these overnight camps, literally every single video, he was eating bacon in some form. It was quite impressive, let's be honest. Yes, he does make man forts for sure. But I mean, again, like I said, I can't really I can't really argue the silly man forts in the woods. That's actually a great way to put that. I really like that. Thank you. Because YouTube is full of it. And if we're all being 100% honest, a lot of the most popular bushcraft channels, that's what they do. I'm not going to name the channels or anything. I'm sure you guys know exactly who I'm talking about, but they just build outlandish forts in the woods. I gotta click on this again because if anybody knows how I can make this not disappear, it would be greatly appreciated. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's oh man, it's crazy how it all rolls together. All your different bug out stuff and your bushcraft and your prepping and your even the camping rolls into it. You know what I mean? It's all a lot of it is utilizing the same basic sets of skills and the same mindset, if nothing else. Yeah, phones and the computers crashing. I don't know. I think sometimes still yet in my lifetime, the way the world is going, especially over here in Canada, we are going to see things are going to get a whole lot worse before they get any better. We're not sitting in a very good situation over here right now. I don't even know how much of it is public knowledge and how much of it is just known in the country, but I'm telling you guys that at least for those of us here in Canada, you may be using your skills a lot quicker than you think, and not for fun and not for YouTube, but because you need to. I don't really want to get into the political stuff because it makes me mad and I'll probably lose a bunch of friends. But yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we're headed in that direction for sure. Oh, oh, you had to bring up the knives. See, now you're trying to sink me. I don't know if you're for me or against me at this point. But I'm going to be honest with you because I like the question and I like when people are open and honest. Bushcraft knives, what is my opinion? I don't think that people need. Uh, okay, I'm going to answer the knives question here first. I personally don't believe you need a $300 SE or anything in particular to go out and bushcraft. I do a lot of work with kids and teaching them the craft and breaking them into it slowly and just basically taking them out anywhere between more, beginning bushcraft and advanced camping. And I show them nice knife use and all this kind of stuff. And I'm telling you, you don't need a $300 SE to go out and bushcraft. I'm sorry, you don't. Uh, you can go buy a Mora for $15 at Campers Village or whatever's your closest surplus store, and you are going to be 100% fine. Uh, I don't care if you want to use a $300 SE or whatever your tops or whatever your choice of knife is. Fill your boots. I don't believe it is necessary. This is something that is all, again, this shit all come from social media. I'm sorry. I would encourage anybody to look up Mors Kochanski's video, How to Make a Survival Knife. This is somebody that nobody in the world could possibly say that he doesn't know what he's talking about. Just go look at it. Look that video up, watch it. I'm going to be honest, it's not the most thrilling video you're ever going to watch, but you're going to get the idea. You don't need a $300 knife to go out and practice bushcraft. That is my opinion. If it offends somebody, I'm sorry, but that's my opinion. I missed one more comment here. In 2005, Canada, Ontario was bad. USA is way it was or worse. Yeah, the whole of North America right now isn't faring very well, unfortunately. Uh, Whatever, maybe it's our turn, who knows, but I think things are going to be going sideways here. I got a lot of friends down in the States, and I talk to them regularly and stuff. Like Pat's a very good friend of mine. He doesn't have a YouTube channel or anything, but I worked with him and we chat regularly, and neither one of us is very happy with what we're seeing, but that is the situation we're faced with right now, right? I mean, that's the way it goes. But anyways, guys, I want to thank you for joining me on this live. I really do appreciate it, as this is the first time I've actually tried to do a live. So for those of you that showed up, thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. The ones that answer or ask questions and whatnot, I appreciate that even more. That makes it fun. It makes it worth doing. But I'm gonna have to shut this off here now, and fortunately, because of the fire bans, I got to use some fancy charcoal one-time use deals here to get my supper going. So I want to get going on that, and we'll do this again in the future. I'm not sure when, but again, a huge thank you to everybody who stopped by and supported me, and a huge thank you to Ariel who inspired me to do this. I will put your link down in the comments. I know it's not exactly the same. I don't even know if I can do that once this live is over, but same time, I don't know how to do it on my phone while I'm doing the live. So here we are. Anyways, thank you guys, and we'll see you next time. I appreciate your input, and we'll talk to you later.